Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and a few months ago we added some key accessories to our long-term 2022 Ford Maverick. First off was this Truxedo Sentry CT bed cover. We knew that we didn't want to be riding along and driving with our truck bed exposed and people being able to get into it, weather, all that sort of thing. We liked being able to have that element of both security and coverage and kind of also the clean look on the truck. And in theory, it should help with fuel economy a little bit as well, something we're going to test soon. So the fine folks at Truxedo hooked us up with their top of the line model. This is the Sentry CT. If you want to see the install, the first impressions on the Ford Maverick, check the link in the description. That's the video for us putting it in, and it was remarkably easy. It was really nice setup, super quality stuff. But now after living with it for a little while, I kind of want to talk about the pros and cons and how we've liked it. And on top of that, we've also added underneath a bed rug from a company called BedRug. This is the impact mat, and this allowed us to add a degree of protection and comfort and usability to the bottom of our truck bed without spending the money on a full-fledged kind of bed liner, if you will. It's better in a lot of ways and different in some ways. We're going to talk about both of those. And I also have the install video for that, so put the link in the description in there. But let's talk about the tonneau cover first. There are a lot of different options for how you cover your truck bed. You can either do sort of a soft vinyl roll-up type thing. You could do a 3-panel tri-fold folds. You can do a super hard thing that kind of has to lift up with hydraulics. You could do a full-on topper. There's a lot of different options. But the perks of this cover are that it's fairly low profile and it's got hard aluminum slats in here. So even if someone came in with something like a knife, you would not be able to get through this. This can hold hundreds of pounds of weight, and so it keeps everything very safe, secure in there, and a super flat look. This is the like kind of fabric-y version of it. They also make a shinier vinyl version, but this is, I mean, it's the top of the line model, and you can see why. It's for people who care about what's in here and actually want to treat this like a trunk, really, if you will, because this locks when you lock the truck, the tailgate does, and then this keeps people from being able to get in there. To release it, you pull this little lever and it starts to fold up with a little string. It's not the easiest thing to grab into, but once you know where it is, you kind of grab in, pull, very easy to do. You can see it's got very strong Velcro on the sides, which keeps it weatherproof, and some weather stripping right here, so when this closes, it provides a nice click. That's locked on there and keeps rain from coming in. This does have one of my small pet peeves with this cover, if you will. It's good to know that technically speaking, you're supposed to have this open when you shut the tailgate because of that lock mechanism. If you try to close it with this closed, you see it butts up on here. And yes, technically you can slam it, but it's not good for the longevity of this weather stripping piece. And in theory, I could actually probably completely take this weather stripping piece off and close it, but then I wouldn't have the water protection. So technically you're supposed to reach in, pop it open, close that. And I could see that being a downside for someone who regularly is just getting in and out of their bed with the tonneau cover closed like this. You might want to make a little modification or consider a different Truxedo product. So something to know, just something we've observed. So let me roll this open. And you can see very easy, rolls up and comes to the top like that. You have a lot of space. You have these rails that mount in and keep this mounted in. Those were super easy to install. This is another thing to consider with the Sentry CT versus a smaller, less secure vinyl top, is this takes up a good amount of space. So when you're in the truck, grab the camera real quick here, visibility is not fantastic. Out of the rear view mirror, it's about halfway covered. Looking back, you do have to consider that if you're someone who drives around with this open. If you do want to drive with this open, you also have to come in here, pull these straps that hang out in, and then you sort of bring this back. There are little hoops. You take the strap, kind of hoop it in, and then pull the strap tight. That keeps this from flying around. You're supposed to do it on both sides. Another element of the Sentry CT versus maybe a smaller vinyl type top is you're losing about 10 inches maybe, nearly maybe not quite a foot, 8 to 10 inches of your bedroom. Say you were trying to put bicycles in the back here, or motorcycles, something, maybe even a couch that's gonna take up space. A smaller vinyl top is gonna fold up a little bit smaller, more compact, and you could squish it with something like a motorcycle wheel, whereas this, that's hard, that's not going anywhere. So again, a little price you pay for the security element of having the aluminum slats. But on the flip side, one thing that's nice about having the strong aluminum slats is there's one time that Alyssa and I went to an air show, and we were actually able to sit on the roof of our truck and open the cover about halfway and rest our feet on it, because it can hold 150 pounds or so. I wouldn't stand on it. Maybe you could let little kids stand around on there. I personally wouldn't, but it was enough to just kind of rest our feet and sit on the roof. So that was kind of cool. If you do need to put something in the truck bed that is so large that you want the cover out of the way, it is super easy to take off. I've done it quite a few times now, and I can just walk up, reach in without even looking, pull that back, pull that one back, and it's off. I mean, it's that simple. It's fairly heavy. I'd probably have to guess 35, 40 pounds. So most people should be able to lift it. And then again, once you kind of get used to putting it on, it's a little bit harder than taking it off. When you go to put it back on, you can see there are these little metal, whatever you want to call them, screws, bolts that are going to fit into this hole. And you kind of sort of line it up like that. Once you make sure that's in the right spot, you just push up on the rail and then in on this, and it latches. It's sort of a two-hand job, but once you've done it once or twice, it's pretty easy to do. And then when you're done, you roll it back closed, snap it. It's been really nice to have with our Maverick. Like I said, we can keep things back here, whether we're on a trip or just doing local things, keep things safe, covered, out of the elements. We've been really happy with the product. There are those cons to the Sentry CT product itself. You kind of have to go with those in order to get the pros. If it were me personally and I were to do it again, I would probably rock with one of the other Truxedo products, something that has more flexibility, is a softer cover. I don't too often put very valuable stuff in the truck bed, so I would prefer a little bit more of the ease and flexibility of that cover. But the quality and the ease of install, I mean, the same day that we were installing this, my father was installing a cheap Instagram Chinese truck bed cover on his Tacoma. That took him 3 times as long to get installed. He wasn't able to do it properly, and he actually ended up replacing that one with something better about a month or 2 into having that. So definitely pays to go with something quality like Truxedo. They're made here, technically headquartered in Michigan. I don't know exactly where they're made, but somewhere in the US, and we've been happy with it. Now you saw me climbing in there into the bed to reinstall the truck bed cover. That would not have been so easily done without this BedRug here. I initially reached out to BedRug to try to put one of these in our truck when I kind of saw how expensive getting a spray-in bed liner would be. And unlike maybe a big full-size truck where you might be dropping heavy rocks in there or putting snowmobiles or something that's really going to scratch up the truck bed, we wanted something more for kind of everyday usability. So we didn't even want something like like a Line-X or Rhino liner that was going to be really abrasive and really hard on your knees if you're getting in the truck. What appealed to me about the BedRug when I came across it is that it solves some of the issues of scratching and the slipperiness of just a painted truck bed, but at a much lower cost and a super easy install that I was able to do myself. It took about half an hour. I could probably do it again in about 15 minutes. It's just this sort of high quality rubbery material that they make in kind of more of a carpety type feel, and then more of this rugged, aggressive sort of feel, and it just Velcros onto the bed of the truck, and I could take it right out if I needed to. Spray it off, you can power wash it in there, and it's been really nice for a few different reasons. One, you can see it smooths out the bed. Underneath here, there's ridges, like you can see in the back of the truck there. That sort of ridged material is on the bottom here as well, but the BedRug fills those in and makes a perfectly flat surface. You could straight up lay down, sleep in here if you wanted. It's not squishy comfy, but it's a heck of a lot better than the metal. And it makes it so, like, for example, when I was getting in there and reinstalling the cover, it's smooth, it's flat, it's somewhere that's not too hard to get into. I can put my bare knees up on here. If me or Alyssa needs to crawl in and get something out of the bed, it's yeah, you wouldn't want to be here all day, but it's so much better than being on not only painted metal, but if this were like a spray-in liner sort of thing, it would really hurt. It'd be very abrasive. So the BedRug has been a little bit more simple, a little bit more straightforward. We don't like use it every day, if you will, like we do with the cover. But when we do have things in there, they're not sliding around as much, they're not rattling. It's made it really easy for things that do need to slide, like we've put couches in here, and you can kind of put the foot of the couch and slide it in. There's a strong mesh material that as you fold this up, sort of folds in, but then when it comes flat, it creates a surface to kind of get over. So I know Alyssa's put like bags of mulch or dirt in here, and she can kind of get them onto the bed and slide it back. If this were not here, it would be running into the hinge and creating a big divot. When you have things like dirt or mulch that are in the truck just loose, you can push it all out to the edge and sweep it out without it, again, falling in there. Multiple times now we've filled this entire truck bed up with sticks, yard waste sort of thing, and again, we were just able to do that super easy and then just pull them right out, sweep them out, push them out. It was so much easier than having any sort of joint exposed or, again, having to deal with the multiple rivets. I will point out that the very edges, I mean, there has to be some sort of clearance for fitting this in. Yes, stuff can kind of get in there, so they recommend taking this off periodically and really cleaning it out well. It's something we should probably do, but realistically, it's kind of fine how it is, and it's still dirty from the last messy thing we've moved and taken to the dump in here. The other thing that's been noticeable, and maybe this was just a little bit of like user install error on my end, these little strips of Velcro, it's very strong Velcro, and it's kind of double-sided tape that secures those down. I put them a little close to the edge and it's sharp. So there have been once or twice that I've leaned up against this tailgate link sitting down, and it's been sharp against my skin. But that's a pretty minor complaint in terms of the overall usability of this. It helps protect the paint. It makes the overall bed so much more usable, super easy to install. You don't have to take your truck in anywhere to do it, and for only a few $100s, I've been happy with it. I've actually been surprised that it hasn't gotten more damaged or anything either, because again, we've been sliding couch feet in and out. I had my Honda Grom back here with the kickstand down, which you really shouldn't do, but it was after an accident. I wasn't really thinking, and there's a little bit of a noticeable divot in there, but again, it kind of absorbed the impact of the kickstand, and yeah, I've been happy with it. So two super useful accessories that we've had on our Maverick now and been very happy with. The Sentry CT cover from Truxedo and the impact mat from BedRug. I would highly recommend, if you're looking for really any sort of truck, these sort of accessories, something to do with your bed to make it less slippery, more protected, more usable for a lot of different things, and some sort of cover that's going to keep everything really safe, protected, out of the elements. These are two great products, but even if the individual merits of these two things don't specifically fit your needs, I highly recommend you check out their products in general, because they provide a lot of sort of different aspects that might be more useful to you. Like, I know BedRug, they didn't at the time, but I know they make some rugs that actually go all the way up the walls, especially for other trucks. Obviously, Truxedo makes covers that work in different ways. They have the tri-folds, they have the soft folds, everything like that. Thank you to both of those companies for hooking up our Maverick and making it just that much more usable as a real truck. And thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.